NASA's gonna roll back its Mega Moon rocket SLS tonight, and there will be no Artemis launch attempt the rest of September or probably October. Here's what's going on. We've been waiting for this decision for a while now as Hurricane Ian bears down on Florida. According to a briefing last week, SLS can withstand about 85-mile-per-hour winds out on the launch pad. NASA was basically tracking Ian's trajectory to see how it would progress in hopes that they could just leave the vehicle out there in order to preserve an October 2nd launch opportunity. That's not happening. Let me be clear, I do think this was the right decision, but I also understand it was a really, really hard decision, and I do not envy the people at NASA who had to make it. First, SLS and Artemis are already very delayed. They want to get this rocket off the ground as fast as possible so they can start focusing on Artemis 2, which is the first crewed launch. Second, and again, this is where we really get into speculation because I am not a rocket engineer. SLS wasn't meant to be stacked for this long. The rocket was fully stacked on October 22nd, 2021. That means we're coming up upon a year that the rocket has been stacked. With a mid-November launch date, we'd be past that year mark. Now, SLS Chief Engineer John Blevins said at a press conference last week that there would be some life-limited items they would have to consider with a mid-November launch date. The briefing didn't focus on it, was more about weather and hydrogen leaks, but it seems like there might be some hardware inside the rocket that is life limited, and after a year it would need to be serviced, and that can't happen while the rocket is stacked. Now, this does not mean they would have to unstack the rocket for a mid-November launch date. Remember that there were issues with the flight termination systems, and they were able to get 2 waivers for those systems. So it's quite possible they could just get a waiver for this and launch in mid-November and everything's fine. But my guess is they were trying to avoid having that discussion altogether, which is why they were trying so hard to preserve that October 2nd launch opportunity.